I remember the exact sound of the knock. Not loud. Not desperate. Just hesitant. Like someone who already knew they were asking for too much. When I opened the door, there she was. My best friend. My sister in everything but blood. Standing on my porch with swollen eyes, a single suitcase, and that familiar smile she used whenever she was trying not to fall apart. I didn't know where else to go, she whispered. And just like that, I let her in. I didn't even turn to look at my husband before saying it. Of course you can stay. That's the thing about loyalty. Sometimes it answers faster than logic ever could. She had just finalized her divorce, or so she said. 12 years of marriage dissolved into paperwork and silence. She told me he'd become cold. Distant. Cruel in quiet ways that didn't leave bruises but still hurt worse. I believed every word. Why wouldn't I? I had known her since college. I had held her hand through miscarriages, career failures, and nights when wine was cheaper than therapy. I told myself this was just another season we'd survive together. What I didn't expect was the way my husband froze when he saw her standing in our living room. It wasn't obvious. Not at first. He smiled. Hugged her. Said all the right things. But I've been married long enough to know when a man's body betrays him. His shoulders were stiff. His jaw clenched just a second too long. And when she thanked him for opening his home to her, his eyes flickered away from mine. That should have been my first warning. The first night, I made dinner for all three of us. Comfort food. Laughter. Memories. I wanted her to feel safe again. Wanted us to feel like the trio we used to be back when life was simpler. She laughed at my husband's jokes. Too easily. He avoided looking at her. Too carefully. Later that night, as we were getting ready for bed, I asked him, casually, "You okay with her staying for a while?" He paused. Just long enough. "Yeah," he said. "Of course. She's your best friend." But he didn't touch me when he said it. That was the second warning. Over the next few days, the house felt different. Like the walls were listening. Like the air itself was holding its breath. She walked around barefoot, wearing oversized sweaters, thanking me constantly, apologizing for being a burden. My husband started coming home later. Claimed work was stressful. Deadlines. Meetings. And then there were the little things. Her mug always warm when I came into the kitchen, even when she claimed she'd been alone all morning. My husband flinching when he heard her voice from another room. The way she'd lower her eyes when our hands touched. One night, I caught him standing outside the guest room door. Just standing there. Not knocking. Not walking away. "What are you doing?" I asked. He jumped like a teenager caught doing something illegal. "Nothing," he said quickly. I thought I heard something. He didn't. I knew he didn't. That night, as I lay awake next to him, staring at the ceiling, a thought crept into my mind, slow, unwelcome, dangerous. What if her divorce wasn't the beginning of the problem? What if it was the aftermath? If this is resonating with you so far, take a moment to like this video. It tells me you're feeling the tension too. Because what I was about to discover wasn't just about betrayal. It was about timing. About silence. And about a truth that had been living in my house long before she ever knocked on my door. The first thing I noticed was how quiet the house became when I wasn't in it. Not peaceful quiet. Not the kind that rests. The kind that waits. I work from home most days, but that week I had meetings outside, errands, life pulling me away for hours at a time. And every time I came back, something felt rearranged. Not furniture. Not objects. Energy. Like conversations had happened without me. Like words were said that didn't want to be repeated. She started waking up earlier than usual. Earlier than me. Earlier than my husband used to. I'd come down the stairs and find her already dressed, coffee made, hair still damp from the shower. Our shower. "I hope that's okay," she said the first time, reading my face before I could say anything. "I didn't want to wake you." Her voice was soft. Almost apologetic. I smiled. Because that's what women like me do. We swallow discomfort and call it kindness. But then I noticed the pattern. On the days she woke up early, my husband was already gone. No goodbye kiss. No note. Just an empty side of the bed and the faint smell of his cologne still lingering in the hallway. When I asked him about it, he shrugged it off. Trying to beat traffic. Funny thing was, he never cared about traffic before. That night, I overheard them laughing in the kitchen. Not loud laughter. The kind that slips out when you forget you're not alone. I stood at the top of the stairs and listened. Her laugh. Familiar. Intimate. The same one she used to laugh with when we were 22 and drunk on cheap wine and bad decisions. And then his voice. Lower than usual. Softer. I couldn't make out the words. But I didn't need to. When I stepped down, they both stopped at the exact same moment. Like children caught with their hands in something sweet. "Oh," she said quickly. "We were just talking about college stuff." College. That word hit me harder than it should have. Because that's where all three of us met. And suddenly, memories I had neatly boxed away started rattling. The way she used to watch him back then. The jokes they shared that I was never fully part of. The night she cried in my dorm room after he chose me. I told myself I was being paranoid. I had to. Because the alternative was too ugly to look at directly. Later that evening, I tried to be intimate with my husband. Not desperate. Just close. I reached for him in bed, my fingers tracing the shape I knew so well. He stiffened. "I'm tired," he said. "Long day." I rolled onto my side, facing away from him, and stared into the dark. That was the first time I wondered if he was afraid of me. Or if he was afraid of what I might find out. The next morning, I found something that wasn't meant for me. Her phone. On the kitchen counter. Screen lit up. A message preview glowed softly, like it wanted to be seen. "We have to be careful. She's starting to notice." My name wasn't there. But I felt it anyway. My heart began to pound so loudly I was sure they could hear it from wherever they were. I didn't touch the phone. Didn't read further. I didn't need confirmation yet. What I needed was patience. Because if there was one thing divorce teaches a woman, it's that people reveal the truth when they believe the storm has already passed. And I was about to let them think I was still calm. If you're feeling that tightening in your chest right now, stay with me, and don't forget to subscribe. What came next changed everything I thought I knew about loyalty. There's a strange power in pretending not to know. Once suspicion takes root, every smile becomes a performance. Every word, a test. And I played my role well. Too well. I laughed when she spoke. I nodded when he explained. I kissed him goodnight like nothing inside me was breaking. But behind all of it, I was watching. I noticed how she started wearing makeup again. Subtle, but intentional. How she lingered in doorways when he passed. How she always seemed to be exactly where he was, never obvious, never accidental. And him. He was unraveling. He'd lose his train of thought mid-sentence. Forget simple things. Jump when his phone buzzed. His nervousness wasn't guilt yet, it was fear. Fear of history. One afternoon, I finally asked her about the divorce. Not casually. Directly. What really happened? I said, handing her a mug of tea. Her fingers tightened around it. He cheated, she said quickly. Too quickly. I couldn't stay. Did you love him? I asked. She looked away. I loved who he used to be. That answer echoed inside me. Because I had heard my husband say the same thing once, years ago, when we talked about past relationships. That night, I couldn't sleep. I got up quietly, padded down the hallway, and opened the old storage box we kept in the closet. The one labeled college stuff. I hadn't touched it in years. Inside were photos. Ticket stubs. Notes. And then, there it was. A picture of the three of us at a party. Her arm wrapped around his waist. My arm around her shoulders. Smiling like nothing underneath was tangled. But the date on the back stopped me cold. 2 weeks before he and I officially started dating. My hands trembled as another memory surfaced, one I had buried because it didn't fit the story I wanted to believe. The night she disappeared. The night he said he was confused. The way she avoided me for days afterward. I sat on the floor, the photo in my lap, feeling something shift from hurt to clarity. This wasn't a new betrayal. It was an unfinished one. The next morning, I tested the theory. I told my husband I'd be working late. Told her I'd ordered dinner for myself. And then I didn't leave. I waited in the guest room, lights off, door cracked. Time stretched. At 9:17 p.m., I heard his footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. Not toward our bedroom. Toward hers. He stopped outside her door. Paused. And knocked. That sound, soft, controlled, shattered whatever denial I had left. Before I could think, her door opened. And she whispered his name. Not loudly. Like a habit she never broke. If your heart is racing right now, hit like and stay with me, because what I did next wasn't impulsive. It was intentional. And it had been building for years. I didn't move. That was the first decision I made that night, to stay still. To let the moment reveal itself fully, without my interference, without my pain interrupting the truth. The hallway light stayed off. The house breathed quietly around us. And in that darkness, I listened. Her door didn't open wide. Just enough. Are you sure? She whispered. He didn't answer right away. I could almost see him, standing there, running a hand through his hair the way he does when he's about to lie. She's asleep, he said finally. I checked. That word, checked, wrapped around my throat. You shouldn't be here, she said. But she didn't close the door. Silence followed. Thick. Heavy. The kind that presses against your chest until breathing feels like a betrayal of calm. I never meant for this to happen like this, he said. You never do, she replied. Not angry. Tired. Familiar. I pressed my hand against my mouth to keep from making a sound. I thought I was over you, he continued. I really did. My stomach twisted. You married her, she said. I know. Another pause. And you still let me move in, she added softly. That was the moment I realized something important. She hadn't come here to heal. She had come here to finish something. I'm not asking you to choose, she said. I just needed to know if it was real. If it ever was. His voice broke. It was always real. I closed my eyes. Not because I didn't want to see, but because I didn't want to become the version of myself that would explode before understanding everything. Then she said something that changed the shape of my anger. I left my husband because of you. The words fell like glass. I couldn't stop comparing him to what we never had, she continued. And when he found the messages, it was over. Messages. So it wasn't just memory. It was ongoing. I thought if I came here, she whispered, I could finally let you go. He laughed softly. Bitter. That was never going to work. Their voices dropped lower after that. Too low to hear clearly. But I didn't need more details. I had enough. I backed slowly into the guest room, every muscle tight, every step deliberate. I lay down on the bed fully clothed and stared at the ceiling until the sound of his footsteps retreated, back to my bedroom. He slid into bed beside me minutes later. I pretended to sleep. He didn't touch me. And for the first time since this all began, I wasn't hurt by that. I was calm. Because now I knew the truth. And knowing meant I could decide what kind of ending this story would have. People think revenge is loud. Explosive. Messy. But the most effective kind is quiet. Structured. Patient. The morning after I heard everything, I woke up before both of them. I made breakfast like nothing inside me had calcified overnight. Eggs. Toast. Coffee brewed exactly the way my husband liked it. Routine is disarming. She came into the kitchen wearing one of my robes. She apologized immediately, eyes wide, playing the part of the grateful guest. Of course, I said, smiling. Make yourself at home. That phrase tasted different now. My husband avoided my eyes, but I didn't push. I kissed his cheek. Asked about his day. Let him believe I was still the woman who trusted without question. But while they relaxed, I prepared. I started with facts. Her divorce wasn't finalized yet. I found that out with one phone call, her name, a public record, a timeline that didn't match the story she fed me. She hadn't come here because she had nowhere else to go. She came here because she was waiting. Then I looked at my marriage with new eyes. Bank statements. Phone records. Little discrepancies I had dismissed as stress or coincidence before. Patterns don't lie. People do. Late that afternoon, I overheard her on the phone in the backyard. I just need a little more time, she said. He's confused, but he still cares. Not we. He. That told me everything. That night, I asked her to join me for a glass of wine. Just the two of us. No husbands. No secrets, or so she thought. Do you ever feel like life circles back? I asked, swirling my glass. Like unfinished stories don't stay buried. Her smile faltered. I think some things happen for a reason, she said carefully. So do I replied. That was the moment I decided how this would end. Not with screaming. Not with confrontation. But with exposure. Because the truth doesn't need drama. It only needs light. I didn't rush. That was the key. I gave them space to believe they were winning. Over the next few days, I became lighter. Kinder. I laughed more. I touched my husband's arm in passing. I asked my friend how she was really feeling, if she was healing, if staying with us was helping. She nodded every time. Too quickly. Like someone afraid the offer might be taken away. Then I made the invitation. I was thinking, I said over dinner, casual as breath, we should have people over this weekend. Just something small. Close friends. You know, reconnect. My husband froze for half a second. She looked up sharply. What kind of people? Oh, just our circle, I replied. Some old friends. A few college faces. Nothing fancy. I watched them exchange a look they thought I didn't catch. He cleared his throat. Are you sure you're up for hosting? I smiled. I think it's exactly what we need. That night, I sent the messages. His old friend who knew everything but said nothing back then. Her ex-husband, yes, him. And a couple who had watched our love story from the beginning. I didn't explain. I didn't warn. I simply invited. The house began to buzz with nervous energy as the weekend approached. My husband started asking questions. Who's coming again? What time did you say? Why him? I answered sweetly every time. My friend became quieter. Watched me more closely. Like she could sense the floor shifting beneath her feet but didn't know where the crack was. The night before the gathering, she knocked on my bedroom door. I don't want to cause problems, she said softly. If this is too much, I can leave. I studied her face. The woman who had loved my husband before I ever did. The woman who had smiled in my kitchen and whispered his name in the dark. You're not causing anything, I said. Stay. She exhaled in relief. That was the moment I knew the trap was set. Because the truth about secrets is this. They don't survive witnesses. If you're holding your breath right now, subscribe and stay with me. The night of the gathering arrived like a held breath finally released. I lit candles. Soft music. Warm food. The kind of evening designed to feel safe, familiar, disarming. They arrived one by one. Old friends. Shared history. Laughter that didn't know yet it was about to curdle. My husband hovered near me, unusually attentive. His hand rested on my lower back like an anchor, or a plea. She stayed close to the kitchen, helping, smiling, avoiding certain eyes. And then, her ex-husband walked in. The room shifted. I watched her face lose color in real time. Her hands froze mid-motion. My husband's fingers tightened against my back. No one said anything at first. Introductions happened. Polite. Awkward. The air thickened with unspoken timelines. I let it simmer. Dinner passed in fragments. Conversations overlapping. Nervous laughter. Glasses refilled too often. Finally, when dessert was served, I stood. I want to say something, I said, lifting my glass. The room quieted. I'm grateful, I continued, for long friendships. For honesty. And for learning that the past doesn't stay buried just because we want it to. My husband stared at me now. Fully. This house has held a lot of memories lately, I said, my voice steady. Some old. Some recently uncovered. I turned to her ex-husband. Would you like to tell everyone why your marriage ended? Silence fell like a dropped plate. He hesitated, then spoke. She was having an emotional affair, he said. With someone she never stopped loving. Her breath caught. All eyes shifted. My husband opened his mouth. I raised my hand. And before anyone speaks, I added, I'd like to play something. I pressed my phone. Her voice filled the room. I left my husband because of you. A gasp. A chair scraped back. My husband's face drained of blood. I looked at him then, really looked. You weren't nervous because she needed help, I said softly. You were nervous because she still mattered. No yelling. No tears. Just truth. No one spoke. Not because there was nothing to say, but because everything that could be said had already been exposed. The silence wasn't empty. It was heavy with judgment, realization, and something close to fear. My husband finally stood up. I can explain, he said. I turned to him slowly. Calmly. No, I replied. You've explained enough with your silence. She was crying now. Quietly. The kind of crying that isn't about regret, it's about consequences. Her ex-husband looked at her like a man seeing confirmation, not surprise. Guests began to shift. Someone murmured they should leave. Another picked up their coat. I didn't stop them. This wasn't a performance anymore. It was a reckoning. When the door finally closed behind the last guest, the house felt hollow. Like it had been emptied of illusions. My husband looked at me. "What do you want to do?" he asked. That question used to scare me. Now it grounded me. "I want honesty," I said. "But not promises. Not apologies. Decisions." I turned to her. "You came here knowing exactly what you were doing," I said. "And you stayed because you thought I wouldn't see it." She nodded. "Barely. You have until morning to leave," I continued. "Not because I hate you, but because I finally respect myself." She didn't argue. She packed that night. Later, in our bedroom, my husband sat on the edge of the bed like a stranger. "I never touched her," he said. I believed him. And somehow, that hurt more. "Love doesn't need hands to betray," I replied. I slept alone that night. Not on the couch. Not in tears. In my bed. Because whatever came next would be on my terms. The morning after felt unfamiliar. Not dramatic. Not broken. Quietly honest. I stood in front of the bathroom mirror longer than usual, studying my face like I was meeting someone new. The same eyes. The same skin. But something behind them had shifted, hardened, maybe, or clarified. For the first time in a long while, I wasn't asking myself why this happened. I was asking what now. My husband didn't sleep. I knew that before he told me. He sat at the kitchen table when I came down, hands wrapped around a cold mug, eyes red but alert, like a man waiting for a verdict. "I don't want to lose you," he said immediately. I didn't respond right away. I opened the window. Let air in. Let the house breathe without her in it. "You already lost something," I said finally. "You lost the version of me that didn't see clearly." He swallowed. "I chose you," he said. "I always did." "That's not true," I replied calmly. "You delayed choosing. Over and over. And indecision is a choice." That landed. We talked for hours. Not arguing. Not pleading. Just facts. Timelines. Emotions stripped of romance and dressed in reality. He admitted he had loved her once, deeply. That part of him never fully closed that door. That when she showed up vulnerable, familiar, unfinished, he panicked. "I was afraid," he said. "Of the past. Of myself." "I'm not interested in managing your fear anymore," I replied. That afternoon, I made another decision. I called a lawyer. Not to threaten. Not to punish. To understand. Knowledge is power, and I was done being the last person informed in my own life. That evening, when my husband asked if there was still hope, I answered honestly. "I don't know yet," I said. But hope isn't the same thing as access. I slept peacefully that night. Not because everything was resolved, but because I finally trusted the woman making the decisions. Closure doesn't arrive with fireworks. It comes quietly, the way truth does when it no longer needs to fight for space. 3 weeks passed. No dramatic texts. No surprise visits. No attempts at redemption dressed as romance. My friend never contacted me again. Not an apology. Not an explanation. And strangely, that was fitting. Some people don't exit loudly. They disappear the same way they entered, through a door you didn't realize should have stayed closed. My husband tried. Therapy. Transparency. Accountability. He offered access to everything, his phone, his email, his past. But access wasn't what I needed anymore. I needed certainty. One evening, as the sun dipped low and the house filled with that golden quiet that used to feel like home, I told him my decision. "I'm not angry," I said. "I'm not even heartbroken in the way you expect." He looked at me, searching. "I'm awake," I continued. "And I can't unsee what I saw." We decided to separate. Not because there was no love, but because love without safety is just nostalgia pretending to be a future. He cried. I didn't. Not because I was cold. But because I had already mourned the marriage while living inside it. Weeks later, I ran into her, by chance, at a grocery store across town. She looked smaller. Less certain. Like someone who had finally reached the end of a story she thought would save her. Our eyes met. She looked away first. And in that moment, I felt nothing. No anger. No triumph. Just freedom. Because the real revenge wasn't exposure. It wasn't loss. It was choosing myself without asking anyone's permission. If this story stayed with you, subscribe, like, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Your support helps stories like this reach the people who need them most.